Hey guys, it's Miss Johnson here, and I'm here to bring you our notes video for Unit 4, Notes 2 on factoring by grouping. So we're in our factoring unit. This is the second day. Yesterday we talked about factoring using the GCF, or taking out the GCF. Today we're going to be learning factoring by grouping. So let's just first talk about what factoring by grouping is. Factoring by grouping is when we use the distributive property and factor polynomials with 4 terms. So we use factoring by grouping and the distributive property when we are factoring polynomials with 4 terms. It's important to recognize that there needs to be 4 terms in order to group them. And if we look at the steps to factoring by grouping, you'll see why there needs to be 4 terms. The very first step is to group the terms into 2 groups of 2. So the first 2 terms are going to be one group, the second 2 terms are going to be the other. Then the second step is to pull out the GCF. So just like what we did yesterday, everything we did yesterday we're going to be using today as well. So we take the GCF out of each group. What's left over in the parentheses when I take the GCF out should match. So we need to check that. That's a kind of a checkpoint system. And then number 4, the step 4, the leftovers, what's left over makes one of the factors. And the last step, the GCFs together make the other factor. So let's just do a few examples, and remember you can pause the video if you need to take a minute to write all of the steps down. So next, let's take a look at number 1. In number 1, I've got 4 terms, x squared plus 2x plus 4x plus 8. I'm going to factor by grouping, so I start by grouping the first 2 and grouping the last 2. Easy step there. So first 2 terms make one group, second 2 terms make the other. Then I go back and pull out the GCF of each group. So if I look at x squared plus 2x, the only thing I can take out of these is an x. I'm going to divide both parts by x. So I have an x out front, and then I look at what's left over. X squared divided by x is x. 2x divided by x is 2. So I have x plus 2 left behind. Then I look for the GCF of the second group. 4x plus 8. The only thing I can take out of those 2 factors is a 4. So I'm going to divide both by 4. And 4x divided by 4 is x. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now that we're getting there, this is our checkpoint. We need to make sure that what's inside the parentheses matches. And here I have x plus 2, there I have x plus 2. So that's how you know you're on the right track. That's how you know you've done this correctly. So then the next thing is write out your factors. The insides make 1. So one of my factors is x plus 2. And the other factor is x plus 4 coming from the 2 GCFs. That is my factored form. So that's the factored form of that polynomial that we started with at the beginning. Let's try number 2. In number 2, I have 3x squared minus 6x, and I have 9x minus 18. So those are my 2 groups of 2 there. 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. I split them into 2 groups of 2. Now look for the GCFs. From 3x squared minus 6x, I can take out a 3, and I can also take out an x. From 9x minus 18, I can take out a 9, but no x terms. So let's take a look at what that leaves us. 3x squared divided by 3x. The 3x is my GCF. That's going to come out front. And what's left over is going to be an x. 3x squared divided by 3x is just x. Then negative 6x divided by 3x, that leaves me with negative 2. The x's cancel out. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So there's the first group. From the second group, I pulled out that positive 9, so it's still adding in the middle, plus 9. Then I have 9x divided by 9, which is just x. 18 divided by 9, which is 2. It was subtraction in the middle, so minus 2. Then I check. I have x minus 2, x minus 2. So that becomes one of my factors. The outsides, the GCFs, together make my other factor. Now, some of you are probably wondering, does it matter what order we write those factors in? And the answer is no. I could also write this answer as 3x plus 9 and x minus 2. And that's that good old commutative property that tells us we can multiply things in any order. Because if I were to put this all back together in FOIL, we all remember FOIL, first, outside, inside, last, I would get the same answer. First, outside, inside, last. So it doesn't matter which order I write the 2 factors in. Let's try another example. So number 3, I have 2x squared plus 5x plus 4x plus 10. 4 terms. I'm going to group and look for the GCFs. From the first group, 2 and 5 have no common factors, so I can't take any number out. But I can take out an x. I have an x in both of them. So I have x here, 2x behind, plus 5, and that's the factored form of the first group. So 2x squared divided by x was 2x, 5x divided by x was 5. From the second group, 4x and 10, I can take out a 2. I can divide both 4 and 10 by 2. So, but I can't take an x out because this one has an x, but that one doesn't. So there's only a 2 in the GCF. So it's plus 2. Then behind, 4 divided by 2 is 2, but I still have the x with it. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then again, you always want to check 2x plus 5, 2x plus 5, those match, that's good. So one of my factors is 2x plus 5. The other factor is the GCFs put together, x plus 2. And there's my factored form. And again, you could also write this as x plus 2 and 2x plus 5. Same thing, you get the same answer. Let's do one more example together as practice. In number 4, I have 5x squared minus 15x plus 10x minus 30. So I can group the first two, group the last two. From the first group, I have 5x squared minus 15x. I can divide by 5 and x from both of those. So that's what comes out front, 5x. And from the first one, 5x squared divided by 5x is just x. From the second one, negative 15x divided by 5x is negative 3. Then, next group, 10x minus 30. I can take out a 10 here. No x's because that one has one, but that one doesn't. So positive 10 out front. 10x divided by 10 is x. Negative 30 divided by 10 is negative 3. Put your outsides together, 5x plus 10, and the insides make the other factor. And I did take a quick look, I didn't mention it, but my insides did match there, so I knew I was on the right track. That's my factored form. All right, we're going to go ahead and stop your video there for today. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to hop back to Schoology and take that quiz. Have a great night, and I will see you all tomorrow.